Throughout their history, the Washington Redskins have been involved in some great National Football League rivalries. But it's doubtful that any can stack up to the Washington-Dallas matchups since the Cowboys came into the league, and in particular the 8 regular season games that have been played since George Allen came to Washington and returned the Redskins to playoff status. Last season, 2 more thrilling chapters to this storybook rivalry were added. First in Washington, the Redskins jumped to a 28-0 lead, then had to hang on to hold off a furious Dallas rally that brought the final score to 28-21. Then in Dallas on Thanksgiving Day, the most exciting chapter ever was added, for few will ever forget Clint Longley's touchdown pass to Drew Pearson with only seconds remaining that lifted Dallas to a 24-23 victory. The only thing missing last season was the fact that Dallas was not involved in the pennant race. But this year, it's that same old story again. For coming into today's game, Dallas holds a 1-game lead over Washington in the battle for first place in the NFC East Division. Today's game would add even more sparkle to this richest of rivalries as the Washington Redskins face the Dallas Cowboys in the NFL Game of the Week. As is his custom, George Allen gave his usual 40 men together, can't lose, fire and brimstone pep talk that seemed to work early in the game for his 2 favorite units. The defense and special teams came out smoking. The Redskin defense held the Cowboys without a first down on their first possession, and the Washington punt return team loosed Larry Jones for 24 yards. The fumble came after the whistle. Thus, Washington's first drive would begin from super field position on the Dallas 41. And on their very first offensive play, Billy Kilmer went for it all. Excellent coverage by Mark Washington on Frank Grant diffused Kilmer's bomb. But Grant was to play a big role in today's game, and his 10-yard pickup on a tough sideline catch brought the Skins to the Dallas 27. Grant has been filling in for injured Roy Jefferson so well that Jefferson may be a while before getting back into the lineup. And this Grant grab was the last advancement by the Washington offense that set up a Mark Mosley field goal and a 3-0 Redskin lead. On the kickoff following the score, the Redskins special teams were at it again when John Pergine, number 52, popped Roland Woolsey into the air and forced him to cough up the ball. Washington's second drive would begin even deeper than the first, this time from the Dallas 27. But this time the Redskins would not score. Cliff Harris wrestled the ball away from Grant, causing an incompletion on a third down pass, and Mosley missed a 29-yard field goal try. Not taking advantage of an opponent's turnover was uncharacteristic behavior of the Redskins, but even more unusual was the fact that they gave the ball away 4 times in the first half alone. Mark Washington's interception on a pass again intended for Grant sparked the Dallas offense, and for the first time in the game, Roger Staubach began to move the Cowboys. Drew Pearson picked up 21 yards, and the Cowboys' other wide receiver, Golden Richards, made a great juggling catch on the sideline. But officials ruled that Richards did not have possession while inbounds. Facing a 3rd and 4, Staubach elected to pass for it, but could find no one open and frantically tried to run. Roger could only dodge for 1 yard, and into the game came Tony Frisch to try a 43-yarder. Frisch, hero of Dallas' last-second victory over the Eagles the week before, obviously missed. Then gave a demonstration of the art of talking to oneself. Dallas had now also failed to capitalize on an opponent's turnover, but there were lots more coming. First, Mike Thomas fumbled when met by omnipresent Mark Washington, and Dallas recovered on the Washington 18. 2 runs brought up a 3rd and 4, and on the first play of the second quarter, and in a passing situation, Staubach went back into Dallas' shotgun formation. This formation gives him more time to pick out a receiver since he's watching their patterns from the snap rather than dropping back with his back to them. What Staubach picked out was Preston Pearson for the touchdown. Pearson, picked up from the Steelers, has been a pleasant surprise to the Dallas offense this season, and his touchdown put Dallas ahead 7-3. On Washington's next series, they again turned the ball over when Kilmer overthrew Mike Thomas and Cliff Harris intercepted and carried to the Dallas 32. For the 3rd consecutive series, Washington had given the ball away, and for the 2nd straight time, the turnover would lead to a Dallas touchdown. Good running by Robert Newhouse, plus a piling-on penalty on Brad Dusick, brought Dallas in close, and again on a 3rd down, Staubach threw for it. This time from the conventional pro set, finding the Cowboys' other Pearson, Drew, who had inside position on Pat Fisher. Pearson's fumble came clearly after the score, as the replay will show. The touchdown put Dallas ahead 14-3. They were beating the Redskins at their own game, creating turnovers and taking advantage of them. Looking at Pearson's touchdown again, we can see that he certainly had possession before Bryant Salter salted him away. Dallas now took another piece from George Allen's game plan and shot down Bob Brunet with a good special team hit by Tom Henderson. Though Allen gets all the ink about his attention to special teams, in truth, any good team must get tough play from their bomb squatters, and Dallas is no exception. They get tough play from their entire roster. That's why they're in first place. It was all going the Cowboys' way until 3 plays after the kickoff, when Frank Grant caught a Kilmer shot over the middle and outraced literally the entire Dallas secondary. The play covered 46 yards and brought Washington back to a 4-point deficit. All things considered, turnovers especially, the Redskins were glad to be still in the game. On Dallas' next possession, they trotted out the old wide receiver reverse pass, but Golden Richards was unable to spot a receiver. After Mike Bass went over the top of him, Richards reversed again, and thanks to his speed, was able to gain 11 yards on a play that might have been a big loss. Staubach then used Richards in the usual manner, and the wide receiver from the University of Hawaii gained 12 more yards on a perfect sideline pass. Then from the 16, Staubach tried to sneak Preston Pearson in again, but Brad Dusick just managed to break up the play. Dallas was forced to settle for a field goal to lead 17-10, then got a chance to add to their lead. Mike Thomas fumbled when swiped at by Harvey Martin, and Too Tall Jones recovered. Jones was ruled down on the Washington 46, but he had claimed the 4th turnover of the first half committed by the Washington offense. With less than 2 minutes left, Dallas went to the shotgun again and got 24 yards closer on a great catch by Gene Fugate. Fugate, like Frank Grant, is getting to play more because of an injury. Billy Joe Dupree, the Cowboys' regular tight end, is out with a bad hand, and Fugate has filled in beautifully. Dallas eventually reached the 3, but with a chance to put Washington in a big hole, down by 2 touchdowns, they committed their second turnover when Ron McDowell, number 79, popped the ball from Staubach's hands into his to keep Dallas off the board. Dallas still led by just 7, 17-10 at the end of the first half. Down by 7, Kilmer began the second half by passing his team downfield and into the end zone to tie the game. On the 66-yard, 10-play drive, he utilized all 3 of his receivers, Charlie Taylor, Frank Grant, and Jerry Smith. Watching Kilmer on this drive, you have to wonder about his reputation as a knuckleball non-passer. The old pot-bellied stove, Sonny Jurgensen, could not have done better. The 6-pointer came off a play action to Mike Thomas. Charlie Taylor's touchdown had deadlocked the ball game at 17 apiece. The next time he got possession, Kilmer continued his bombardment. The big play coming on a 20-yard pass to Mike Thomas just before the third quarter ended. So far, Kilmer's hot hand had seen him hit on 8 for 10 in the new half. However, the second play of the fourth quarter, a pass intended to Smith, ended up in the arms of Leroy Jordan, and the Washington threat was ended. Any hopes Roger Staubach entertained of emulating Kilmer's passing barrage were quickly snuffed out by the enraged Redskin defense. Staubach was sacked on 2 consecutive plays that brought the ball back near the Cowboys' goal, so that on 4th down, Mitch Hoops was punting from deep in the end zone. Hoops' surprise pass to Bob Brunig was complete for 21 yards and a first down. But another look reveals that the play was born from the intense pressure from the Skins' vaunted special teams. Hoops simply didn't have time to kick due to the ferocious rush by the outside men. But the irony was that instead of a blocked punt, it produced a first down for Dallas. The Cowboys' offense continued to sputter in the second half, however, and it was the Dallas defense that finally put some points on the board. Cliff Harris' 27-yard interception return of Kilmer's pass put Dallas in front once again by 7, with only 5 minutes remaining in this game so vital to the standings in the NFC East. All that was left was to stop Kilmer once more. Not so easy a task. Frank Grant was the recipient of a 9-yard pass at the left sideline. Then 2 plays later, Mike Thomas outraced his coverage and took a pass good for 24 yards to the Cowboy 21, where Mel Renfro ran him out. Several plays later, Thomas brought the ball closer to the Cowboys' goal. But the Skins were faced with a 4th and 2 dilemma on the Dallas 13. George Allen ignored the field goal and went for the tie, much to the satisfaction of the partisan crowd, which rocked RFK Stadium with approval. 4th and 2, a very big play. The Cowboy defense dug in. But Mike Thomas ran wide for 6 yards to the Dallas 7 for the crucial first down. On the very next play, Kilmer dumped the football to Jerry Smith for the touchdown that tied up the ball game. Many felt that Washington would be hurting this season without Jurgensen ready to come off the bench and provide his superb touch to the air attack. Sonny's retirement plus the virtual loss of Larry Brown could have been the kiss of death. But Washington has come up with rookie Mike Thomas to replace Brown. And Kilmer's passing has made the Skins second only to Dallas in the conference. With Smith, Taylor, Jefferson, and now Frank Grant at the ends, the Washington reception through the airways is coming in clear and strong. With under 2 minutes to play, Washington and Dallas were even up at 24-24. Staubach and the Cowboys from the shotgun came out throwing, and for the first time in the second half, the Dodger hit with consistency as he connected on 4 straight passes that brought the ball to the Washington 21. One of the 4 passes was most unusual. Despite the shotgun formation, Staubach was under a heavy rush, and his pass bounced off Cowboy Ralph Neely's helmet to Charlie Young for a 5-yard completion. Neely was probably the only one in the stadium at the time to realize the play was illegal. Nevertheless, Dallas now had a shot at kicking a game-winning field goal for the second week in a row. The week before, Tony Frisch had beaten the Eagles with no time left. Aware of this, George Allen called a timeout to give Frisch ample opportunity to think about the importance of his 38-yard attempt. The 30-year-old Austrian's reaction tells the story, as his failure sent this tie ball game into sudden death overtime. What might have been the most important call of the day was the Cowboys when the coin came up heads, signifying they had won the toss and would have the vital first possession in sudden death. Since the rule was instituted in the NFL last season, few teams have had the experience of playing in sudden death, and Dallas is one of them, beating St. Louis in the season's second week. It looked as if that introduction to this unique pressure would give them the edge, when on the overtime second play from scrimmage, Staubach threw to Drew Pearson for 32 big yards. But 3 plays later, under a blitz from Hamburger, Staubach threw a wobbler into the hands of Kenny Houston, and Washington had the ball on the biggest play of a day in which there were many. Houston had returned the theft 14 yards, but Washington got an additional 15 when Staubach, of all people, was called for a personal foul for slugging. Thus, the Skins had a new life and the ball in Dallas territory. In the midst of the bedlam stood Kilmer, the man who had been both hero and goat today. Upon his shoulders rested the outcome of this classic battle. Kilmer's first pass of overtime was complete to reliable Charlie Taylor, but it was his second that was most crucial, for it came with 3rd and 6 from the 19. Kilmer calmly pinpointed a very difficult sideline pass to Taylor for the first down. Then on 2 consecutive runs, the once familiar figure of Larry Brown brought the ball to the 1-yard line. Now at 6 minutes 34 seconds of sudden death overtime from the 1, Billy Kilmer, not wishing to risk a handoff, called his own number and went up and over for the game-winning score. It was Kilmer's first sneak in 3 years. Gentlemen, you saw a classic football game today, George Allen said in the locker room. You saw a team and a quarterback with real character. Allen's comments are accurate, but they apply to both teams on the field today. For it takes two to make a great rivalry, and that is what the Washington-Dallas matchups have become. Luckily for football fans, there's only 6 more weeks until the sequel in Dallas.